Shalom and welcome once again to Challenging Torah. We are in the section of the Torah, 4 portions that deal with the building of the tabernacle. And we began last week in our chapter of last week, Terumah, with the great statement that God says, Asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham. Make me a holy space, and I will dwell, not within it, but within them or within you. And so we see that it is about an inner space and an outer space, and making a silent space inside with a glorious outer covering. And the Midrash immediately asks the question, why do we have to make, of course, a space at all if the whole world is filled with God's glory? And why didn't Moses just put up 4 tent poles like a chuppah and a sort of cloth on the top and make a simple something like a wedding chuppah? And the Midrash answers, and God says, I gave you so many beautiful materials. You'll never just fit it into that. Make me the most beautiful thing that you can make me. You know what, Moses? I'm going to show you how to do it. And we're going to begin with the menorah, which is in this week's Torah portion, at Tetzaveh. And Moses says, I don't really understand what you just said, something about, it's way too Baroque, way too many details, and God sort of sighs and says, okay, watch this. It's color-coded. We have 4 fires, a green fire, a black fire, a white fire, and a red fire. Watch, I'm going to draw this in the sky, Moses, and the fire is going to guide you. And Moses says, I don't know how to build with fire. I don't understand how to do this. God, in exasperation, even engraves it on the palm of Moses' hand, mechukak, like the engraving of the 10 Commandments. And Moses goes, I got the pattern. I don't know how to do it. And God sighs and says, call B'Tzalel. The name literally means B'Tzel El, in the shadow of God. And B'Tzalel will know to help you. B'Tzalel is the one who understands what we call tzirufim, how to combine things. He combines letters to make things happen. He knows how to combine materials. He's that artist that Moses is not. Not all of us have the same capabilities. Moses' job is to be the conduit to God. But he's not necessarily a construction engineer or even the building designer. And so we have this place that God has said to him, and make them after their pattern which I have shown you on the mountain. No, B'Tzalel's actually going to be in charge of the building itself. And so then we get the beginning of descriptions of what's inside the building. And this is from last week's Torah portion. Often these 2 Torah portions are read together. And it's the ark. And inside the ark, everything is covered with gold. Because the gold is fire made manifest. As we talked about these different colors of fire, and we see the flames and the colors in a flame, gold is really just shimmering light held in a material vein. And so the instructions are, and you shall make a cover of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half shall be its length, and a cubit and a half its breadth. Okay, Moses says. And then you shall make 2 cherubim, or cherubs, of gold, hammered workmanship shall you make them at the 2 ends of the cover. And there's this image of these 2 cherubs with their wings outspread, tips almost touching, that are on the kaporet, or cover, of the ark. And then God says, make 1 cherub, or cherub, at one end, 1 cherub on the other end. The cover you shall make with cherubim at 2 ends, and they shall stretch their wings on high, covering the cover with their wings, and their faces shall look at one another. Even toward the cover shall the faces of the cherubim be. And we have this image of these 2 cherubs facing one another. And we ask, how does God dwell in this Mishkan? And God continues, and I will be there to meet with you, and I will talk to you from between the two cherubim which are on the ark, the testimony, the ark of testimony of all things which I give you in commandment to the people of Israel. At the entry point between the tips of the wings of these angels, there is a space. At the center of the heart of the heart of the Holy of Holies, which is where this ark and its cover is to go, there is nothing. Silence, space, emptiness. Because the whole Mishkan is a place making that space in our heart that resonates with the space that's above the ark. And only there can we hear the bat kol, the sound of God's voice. And everything is enclosed by those wings. The faces, which are often seen as male and female, must face each other. There's many midrashim when God and the Jewish people aren't doing well, one face is turned away like this. Sometimes it's really bad and both faces are turned away. Wonder if this is a moment. But when there is peace, shlemut, harmony, the faces face one another. And God's voice, that bat kol, can be heard. Just as the portions of our heart, when our heart is divided, one part doesn't work, but shlemut, in wholeness with the other. And we're divided, we can't hear God's voice. And so that ark is placed, and then God says in Tetzaveh, this week's Torah portion, and you shall command the people of Israel, it begins, that they bring beaten olive oil for the light, to light the lamp, to burn always. Ata tetzaveh, and the word tetzaveh is related to tzavta, which means to bind together as well as to command. And what are we commanded to do? To bring olive oil katit lemaor, that has been beaten. When we talk about musar, we talk about looking at our negative qualities. Jealousy, greed, pride, fear. We need to literally sometimes refine ourselves, beat it out of us, make that inner oil pure. And so we light the lamps and we don't see, the shimmer is what we see. The oil itself is just the vehicle, as we are the vehicle, to hold God's light. And so we say, Ki imcha makor chayim, ba'orcha nirei or, for with you is the source of light. By your light, we see light. May your Shabbat be filled with light. Shabbat Shalom.